These two guys have Minnesota sports flowing in their veins. Mackey and Judd on Score North and ScoreNorth.com.
He's our guy, Darren Doogie Wolfson from the 5 Eyewitness News Sports Department. When reckless speculation turns real. That's what you get the last 24 hours, Doogs. Strap in for this scoop session here. So, yeah, we are recording this at 10 a.m. Central Time on Tuesday. We think the main barrage of Vikings free agency moves is complete. There might be a couple. I mean, they're going to get a backup quarterback, and there's going to be some peripheral second, third wave things. But here's the summary, and then, Doogs, you go ahead and take it wherever you want here. This morning alone, Jonathan Allen had a nice little visit last night. Blake Barrett is his agent. He's based locally in the Twin Cities, so they went out and explored the facility and had some dinner, whatever, hammered out a contract. So Jonathan Allen, and then Javon Hargrave, TBD on the contract, and the Niners still have to release him. But those are two premier interior pass rushers overhauling that entire position group for the Vikings. Will Fries, 5 years, $88 million to go along with the Ryan Kelly signing. So they stole 40% of one of the best offensive lines in the league from Indianapolis to come here to Minnesota. And then Byron Murphy Jr. gets $22 million a year on a 3-year contract to go along with the Isaiah Rodgers. He was a rotational cornerback with the Eagles last year to get younger at that position. And then, of course, Aaron Jones a couple days ago. So one of the most active 2-day periods in the history of Vikings off seasons here, Dukes. Daniel Jones to the Colts to top it off. So they do need a backup quarterback. But you tell us where you want to start, Dukes.
The madness of March is upon us. It is beautiful to have money. This front office knows how to execute free agency. On those two Colts offensive linemen, they wanted those guys back. So on Fries, the Giants pushed hard. At one point on Monday, there was a thought that he was going to be a New York Giant. It just didn't get to the finish line. The Cardinals, the Patriots, the Seahawks, there was a bunch of interest in Will Fries. It certainly looks to me, Phil, from what I can gather, that a lot of plan A's were executed. Going back to Sunday, plan A at running back was to re-sign Aaron Jones. Do I think there would have been some interest in Najee Harris? Sure, but it never got to that point. They got their guy. The cap hit for Aaron Jones this year will be below $5 million. To me, that is a win by Rob Brzezinski, others with the Vikings. Plan A at cornerback was to re-sign Byron Murphy Jr. They knew the number going back to the combine, that he was going to get north of $20 million per year. I think there was some sticker shock initially, but the Vikings, Brian Flores wants a corner who can cover man-to-man. Flores really wanted Murphy Jr. back. That was the number one internal priority. They got it done. Yes, it's an enormous number, but if it wasn't the Vikings, it could have been the Jets. It could have been the Raiders, others. I know the Giants pivoted in a different direction, but certainly the Giants had some interest in Murphy, along with a handful of others, including the Colts. The Colts pivoted also. But there was a very thick market for Byron Murphy Jr. Fixing the interior of the defensive line, the interior of the offensive line. Yes, they had all sorts of interest in Milton Williams, but they knew pretty early on, whether it was the Panthers or ultimately the Patriots, they were not going to get Milton Williams. Now, if they do Milton Williams, they may not have the combination of Jonathan Allen and Javon Hargrave. So to me, I would rather have the two than the one. I don't know if the plan was to sign, even with the Ryan Grigson connection, Ryan Kelly. But then you saw the Aaron Banks contract. I can't believe Green Bay gave him that much money. The Vikings were not in on Aaron Banks. But maybe you looked at that, even though they ended up with Will Fries. But maybe it was okay, Ryan Kelly, really good center, an upgrade. I mean, undoubtedly an upgrade over Garrett Bradbury. So let's go that direction. Let's see if we can wrap up on Will Fries. They had some plan Bs as well. Judd, you and I went back and forth on Monday night. Clearly some level of interest in Tevin Jenkins, the former Chicago Bear. If they swung and missed on Fries, The idea was to sign a guard. The Detroit Lion defensive tackle Levi, how do you say the last name?
Onwuzurike.
Yeah. I mean, he was on their radar if they didn't land Allen and or Hargrave. But yeah, to me, really, really good work. Like so far, so good. Yes, there's still some stuff. Heck, when Cooper Kupp hits the market, we'll keep an eye on that situation. Yes, I get it. Backup quarterback. I mean, the Vikings didn't come close to offering Daniel Jones what the Colts did. So it came down to money plus opportunity. I know there's some disappointment in Egan that Jones is leaving. So I get it. Where do they pivot at the backup quarterback position? So there's still work to be done. But in the first 24 hours, A+ to me, really, truly, A+. And it took a little bit of patience. Like at 3 o'clock on Monday, my X feed was blowing up. What the heck are they doing? What is going on? Deep breath. Fast forward. Less than 24 hours. All has worked out incredibly well.
Yeah. By the way, today's scoop session is powered by MyBookie, Judd. A good time of year to be dabbling with MyBookie.
Fantastic time of year because guess what? March Madness is back and MyBookie is putting $100,000 on the line. If you think that you can build that perfect bracket, take your shot at MyBookie's $100,000 bracket contest and prove it. Cash in on that. So your bracket gets busted though, right? Because often it does. That's okay. MyBookie's deposit bonus makes sure you're covered for the entire tournament. Single game matchups where you can make the real dough as well as scope out player props, things like that. Sign up with the promo code Minnesota Sports and claim your deposit bonus to make the most of March Madness. Go to mybookie.website/Minnesota Sports. mybookie.website/Minnesota Sports. Bet on every game, anytime, from anywhere with our friends from MyBookie and embrace the madness that is March. That can be football and that can certainly be hoops as well.
Tonight I think the Mackeys might fire up a celebratory legit pizza. Pep's Legit Pizza Company. You can find it's Pep's Pizza Company, and legit is the brand, I should specify. But some of the best frozen pizza I've ever had, as a connoisseur going back decades, I might add. Stone-baked, cracker-thin crust, zesty tomato sauce, exceptional ingredients all over the place. I personally love, well, all of them, but the mushroom and sausage is probably my favorite of the bunch. You can find legit pizzas at a store near you to have an authentic at-home pizza parlor experience. Judd.
So, Dukes, on what's transpired thus far and where things are going now, one is I'm with you completely, which is patience is paramount here. I do wonder now, cash is king, but I do wonder if we circle back to the Fries signing or agreement this morning, if the Ryan Kelly phone call helped, right? His center, guy he's played with, like the Ryan Kelly contract strikes me as a really smart move because yes, he had knee and neck problems. I believe he has been around since 2016, and I looked it up last night. I want to say he has played a full season, 16 or 17 games throughout the course of his career, only 3 times. But that being said, the contract is not much. It definitely gives you a center who is more snarly than Bradbury. But if that helped at all in the recruiting pitch against like the Giants and other teams for Fries, it's a pretty savvy move. And there's no question now that offensive interior line has some firepower and some snot and some nastiness that has been missing from this team for a long time.
Yes, for sure, right? Like any little bit helps. Now, I'm not sure as of this morning that the Giants were still heavily involved, but sure, it certainly didn't hurt. I'll be curious to see the final numbers when the contract is filed with the Players Association. I know right now it's framed as 5 years, 88, but we need to look at the specifics of that contract. Yes. But regardless, they paid a guard enormous money, which I think we all expected. But my understanding is he was always plan A. Like I thought Patrick McCarry, there would be some interest in the former Baltimore Raven. He's off to Jacksonville. Crickets. Mm-hmm. The Vikings actually never showed interest in him. I thought they would. They didn't. Like all optics, everything I can gather is Will Fries was their guy. That was the top priority. So kudos to the Vikings for getting that deal done. On Garrett Bradbury, I imagine now they are going to try and trade him. His former college position coach in Atlanta. The Falcons have this obvious need at the center position. To me, what's even more fascinating about the Bradbury situation, his representation did the Kelly deal. And so what do they know? Bradbury entering the final year of his contract. Do they know something about where Bradbury will now land? Maybe he gets a 1-year bump, a 2-year bump, some sort of extension, something like that, someplace he wants to be. But I'm fascinated that the same agency, half of the same representation, did this deal, did the Kelly deal, knowing Bradbury's situation here, their other client. And so they already know, just like we knew on Friday when Geno Smith goes to the Raiders, the Seahawks had a plan. The Seahawks weren't trading Geno Smith without a plan. No surprise, Sam Darnold lands in Seattle. I imagine those representatives at Creative Arts Agency know exactly where Garrett Bradbury right now is going to land. Atlanta would be one spot I keep an eye on.
I'd love to peek behind the curtain. How does that work? So you represent Ryan Kelly and Garrett Bradbury. Do you wait for the Viking? Are the Vikings reaching out to you asking about Ryan Kelly, and you're like, I guess, or are you looking at your other client saying, the Vikings might actually have a Garrett's been struggling in pass pro, and they could use a guy like Ryan Kelly. Some of the inner workings there are fascinating when you have players.
Yeah, and I'll try to dig on some of those inner workings for a future back and forth with us. I don't have all those inner workings right now. There was a thought, though, that once the Bears pivoted to Grady Jarrett, there was a part of me that thought, okay, like Garrett Bradbury, like we know he struggles with those good interior, right? But then I'm thinking, Grady Jarrett to the Bears?
Yeah.
You have to see him twice a year. He still has at least one, if not a couple good years left in him. Okay, Uncle Mercy, time to cut the cord on Garrett Bradbury. So there was a part of me on Monday early afternoon that thought, okay, Jarrett in division now, time to move on from Garrett Bradbury.
Yeah,
I thought the same thing.
It is. I'm looking at my Twitter feed right now, or my X feed, I guess, and it is fascinating to see the national media finally come into the realization of what's happening with the Vikings quarterback position. You know, like, and not to our guy Tom Pelissero, who we love. Is it is now likely that J.J. McCarthy will be the Vikings starting quarterback in 2025. That's literally been the plan for 12 months. It has,
although they did make some sort of offer. I know Thor was on with you guys on Monday with a little bit more specifics. There was some dialogue on keeping Sam Darnold.
But that's not an offer. It wasn't
realistic. Judd, you made the parallel a week or two ago with the Kirk Cousins situation last year. That's what it was. Kirk Cousins was never coming back. Sam Darnold was never coming back. But the Vikings can claim they're not wrong.
But that's what they're trying to do.
Tried.
No, it's a fantasy. It's a fantasy. Yes. Dude, you do fantasy basketball. You're in auction leagues, right? You throw out an offer to start the bidding that you don't want, and that will start the bidding. So with Cousins, like, you knew that he wanted a multi-year deal and multi-year security, which is ironic based on what happened in Atlanta. And so you give him a 1-year offer that lowballs him to be respectful, knowing he's not going to take it. If the offer for Sam Darnold, and I'd have to go back and review. I saw the aggregation of the 1-year $25 million thing from Thor. I'd have to go back and listen to the tape on that, but.
Yeah, I don't know the specifics on the money. So,
but if it's a 1-year,
I don't know if Thor said that, but there was some dialogue on some sort of 1-year deal.
But that is not an offer, though. A 1-year deal for Sam Darnold is not an offer because he's going to get a 2 or 3 year deal somewhere else. That's my point.
But the report last night was finally from, I forget what if it was Schefter or what. The report finally was that Darnold said, "I don't want to compete again. I helped win 14 games. I shouldn't have to compete again." Like the lack of common sense that was used in this entire situation nationally might be at an all-time high of just regurgitating, which now, by the way, my new favorite thing is when you break a contract now and it says, sources said, Will Fry signed 5 years, blah, blah, blah. And then it has the agency that worked the deal.
Bravo!
I'm gonna put 2 and 2 together. I'm gonna put 2 and 2 together here and say, if you got the numbers, and by the way, it's always the highest, right? Like that's the thing.
Yeah.
Dukes is exactly right. We have to see these contracts. Will Fry's got 5 years, $88 million. Sources tell me worked by the Wasserman Group or something like that. Come on, give me a break.
Yeah, it wasn't Wasserman on Fries, but yeah.
No, I know, but I'm just saying.
Absolutely. Update on Daniel Jones. The Viking offer, I'm told, was north of $10 million. I don't have the exact number, but it was at least in the ballpark of the Colts. Now, the Colts are guaranteeing him like 13 and a half, has a chance to earn up to what, like 17 million. Yeah. So maybe not quite to that number, but the money was really close. So this suggests that Jones sees a pathway to immediate playing time with the Colts, that he feels like he doesn't need a full year of quarterback rehab school, being back here, being McCarthy's backup, spending an entire year with Josh McCown, with Kevin O'Connell, that he can beat out Anthony Richardson. That's why he ultimately chose the Colts. So I'm led to believe this is not a money decision. This is an opportunity decision that he can see the field more immediately with the Colts.
Hey Dukes, what can you tell us about the? I wouldn't say that they were at the forefront of the discussions on Monday, but what can you tell us about what we talked about behind the scenes a bit, which is the clear interest, I guess, from the Vikings in Javon Holland, who went to the Giants. At the end of the day, I don't think he was coming here. The Giants paid him, but I wouldn't. It's interesting that the Giants were talking to Murphy and Fries. The Vikings were too. But then the Vikings clearly at least dipped their toe into the waters on Holland. I wonder if that was more to like get the Giants to go up on him, or if there was a legit interest, which there might have been, in Brian Flores trying to reunite with a guy that he drafted with the Dolphins, who, by the way, has turned out to be a hell of a player.
Yes, hell of a player, legit interest, but more so a plan B or a plan C. Okay. Now, I will say the money surprises me because it won't even be what's being reported, right? I mean, again, coming from his representation at Athletes First. So what, 3 years, $45 million? What's the guarantee? Did he even get the Cam Bynum guarantee? So Bynum is what, 32 million, 18 at signing. You know, the optics again, the initial, 4 years, 60. Holland, 345. Does he have 30 million guaranteed? Is it right in that ballpark? Somebody have the Holland contract handy, or the reported Holland contract? I thought he would get more. So I will take an L on that. But I just don't sense, Judd, that he was any sort of plan A. Interest? Sure. On their radar? Abso-freaking-lutely.
Yeah.
But I don't sense like there was any sort of like big time push. In fact, you texted me, I can't remember what time on Monday night, but it wasn't super late. Your information was the Vikings were out at that point. So he came to an agreement with the Giants on Tuesday morning, many, many hours after you texted me that you had heard the Vikings were out on Holland.
Yeah.
Man, this defense, the moves they made last year, and if you think they've really only, assuming Harrison Smith comes back, they lost Cam Bynum, but they love Theo Jackson, and he might just step in whenever he's been asked to do anything on defense. He's been excellent. He's been one of the premier players during training camp and preseason. So I don't know that the Vikings view Bynum to Theo Jackson as much of a drop-off. I think we'll find out.
I mean, they'll miss Bynum, and they tried. I mean, they tried at different points last year to extend him. Nowhere close to what he got. So betting on himself worked out brilliantly. Happy for Cam Bynum. Absolutely will miss him in that locker room. But they have a healthy opinion of Theo Jackson. I anticipate, even before all these moves, you can say whatever you want about Harrison Smith being even more excited with these moves. I got the sense going back a week or two that Harrison Smith, even further than that, was going to be back for a 14th year. So I anticipate at this point Harrison Smith back for at least one more year.
Cornerbacks, you're swapping out 34 and 29-year-old unless they bring back Shaq Griffin.
Some interest in Shaq.
Isaiah Rodgers
interest.
and Mekhi Blackmon, so you get younger and more spry there, and then a wild upgrade along your defensive front, and I think an upgrade along your edge rusher position by swapping out Patrick Jones for more Dallas Turner this year. So unless, barring injury, personnel-wise, I think it's a huge upgrade what they've done in the last 24 hours, personally.
Agree, and I wouldn't be shocked if there's another edge move, whether it's re-signing Jihad Ward, interest, or Draymond Jones, the former Seattle Seahawk, and he was released. So when thinking about, trust me, the Vikings think about this, compensatory picks 2026, nothing to worry about signing Allen, nothing to worry about signing, soon to be signing Javon Hargrave. Also, when you think about pick 24, about 44 days away, 43 days away? It's fast approaching. Now, maybe still looking to move back, but you could argue at pick 24, you can have a pretty open mind. If you want to go running back with that first pick, you could. If you want to go guard, Blake Brandel, ultimate swing guy, you can keep him on that contract, swing guy. So if you want 2 new starters at guard with Kelly at center, you can execute that with a high pick in April. You could go cornerback. Do you need another cornerback? You can go any number of directions at pick 24 at this point.
All right, let's talk about it. Backup quarterback, reckless speculation and names, Doogs. Go ahead.
Well, this front office, there's still people in this front office going back years that have been fans of Marcus Mariota. But whether it's Drew Lock, Mason Rudolph, Carson Wentz, heck, Mac Jones. I thought Mac Jones represented himself okay in November in that game down in Jacksonville. There are options. I still think Aaron Rodgers is going to the Steelers or perhaps the Giants. I have not heard the Vikings reciprocating the interest that Aaron has in being here. When you saw over the weekend Aaron Rodgers' name attached to the Vikings, that was not put out by anybody with the Vikings. Do I think Aaron has all sorts of respect for Kevin O'Connell, the way this organization is run? Absolutely. Aaron wants to continue to play. So sure, with options dwindling, why wouldn't you say, sure, attach me to the Vikings? I still think the Steelers or the Giants make sense that J.J. McCarthy is this team's starting quarterback. We can go deeper if you want on the many reasons why Aaron Rodgers doesn't make sense here, but I still think it's more like a Mariota, somebody of that ilk. Certainly Mac Jones. Absolutely.
Mac Jones
so
makes
one
a
of
lot
those
sense.
guys. There's a lengthy list of names, guys that are available. Heck, Teddy Bridgewater is available.
Don't say that. Declan's going to get very excited.
Quarterback names.
Declan's going to get very excited.
Bring him back.
Jacoby Brissett is another one.
Cooper
there are
Rush.
guys. They can get somebody. They will get somebody. Plus, it goes back to, if McCarthy is out for any extended period, I get it. It's Kevin O'Connell. He can work magic. But if your starting quarterback goes down more often than not, you are in a pickle. Joe Flacco is also out there. There are many guys that are out there. Joe Flacco, connection to Kelly, connection to Fries, right? So they will get somebody. I will be shocked if it's Aaron Rodgers.
Is Teddy still playing? I thought he just came back for the playoffs and then was going back to his high school coaching job.
He might be. I don't think it's going to be Teddy Bridgewater, but
I know, but I think
he's available.
I think he's retired. I think he's done. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, he may be done, but they will get somebody. They absolutely will get somebody. There's still work to be done, right? Okay, so backup quarterback. Do they re-sign Cam Akers? There's some interest, but you could wait until after the draft. Do they draft the right running back? Do you need to bring back Cam Akers? But certainly some interest. I think they add a receiver somewhere along the way. So whether it's Cooper Kupp or someone else, I'd keep an eye on a number 3 wide receiver. So they're still interested in doing some things. Heck, I heard on Monday there was some interest in retaining Jerry Tillery. Now, does he have a role now with the way the defensive line is setting up? Plus you think about, Redmond, Drake Rodriguez, they have guys. Harrison Phillips can still defend the run. They just extended him within the last year. Who knows what his future is in 26, but right now I think Harrison Phillips is here in 25. So I don't know if there's a role for Tillery. Bullard, probably not back at this point, but they'll still work around the edges. I mean, there's no doubt about that, but the heavy lifting is done. But yeah, around the edges, yes, they will land one of these names, one of these backup quarterbacks.
Yeah, on the backup quarterback, Schefter put out a big list here of like 12 guys, and it's incomplete. But I'll say there are 2 names on here. If you're looking at Kwesi and even Kevin O'Connell's 3-year history of trying to identify players at every position, Jerry Tillery was one of them. Former first and second round picks, Jalen Reagor, Sam Darnold, first and second round picks that didn't reach their full potential the first contract, but still are young enough and maybe salvageable to get them to another level. And the 2 names on that list for me are Mac Jones and Trey Lance to keep an eye on for quarterback rehab at University.
Yeah, Trey Lance too. Yeah. So, I mean, there are names. Look at one of these guys. Heck, technically, Brett Rippon is an unrestricted free agent, right? So,
no,
interest in retaining him.
signed.
Or is he under contract? He did? Okay.
After
he's
the
under
season.
contract. Yeah. Spot Track then needs to update that. I was looking at a Spot Track list earlier today. They had him listed at UFA. But yeah. Okay. So he's back. So he's your number 3. You will get somebody as a number 2. One of those names, it'll happen. I'm not buying any of this Aaron Rodgers talk.
No, it's garbage.
Would his camp love it? Sure. Right? They want the Vikings in the mix.
But he
right?
should
So
go.
they'll
but
volunteer
he'll
that
start.
information to any number of people, but
Yes.
I'm not buying it. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
No, he makes a lot of sense in Pittsburgh right now. Hey, we'll get to the rest of Doogie's scoop bag here and talk more Vikings. A reminder, MyBookie powering March around here. A lot of good basketball action. A lot of good basketball.
Great time of a year because March Madness is back. My bookie, as I talked about earlier, putting $100,000 on the line because you think you can build that perfect bracket, right? We all do. We all go in optimistic. Take your shot then at MyBookie's $100,000 bracket contest to prove it. Now the bracket gets busted. What are you going to do? Sportsnet has the solution. MyBookie's deposit bonus makes sure that you're covered for the entire tournament. Single game matchups can be where the real cash is made. Bet every game, scope out the player props, right? Player props are great, and that will help you find your edge. Sign up now with the promo code Minnesota Sports. Claim your deposit bonus to make the most of March Madness. Go to this website, mybookie.website/Minnesota Sports. Bet on every game, anytime, from anywhere. March Madness, college hoops, such a great time of year, and MyBookie makes it even more fun.
Hey, Park Dental has been cleaning teeth for over 50 years in the Twin Cities and also Western Wisconsin. Just had my early 2025 cleaning and checkup earlier, I guess, late February-ish. So, yeah, I was without a dentist. Now I have one, and it's great. And what I do is I'll go around and like creep on the reviews just to make sure, all right, what do other people say? And it's pretty amazing what people say about the various Park Dental locations, that they would never see another dentist, just raving about the entire staff. It's a very, very fine facility to get your twice-a-year cleanings done and other dental work. And there's likely a Park Dental location somewhere within close range of wherever you work or live in the Twin Cities and Western Wisconsin. You can schedule your checkup at parkdental.com, parkdental.com. All right, Dukes, what else is in your scoop bag regarding the Vikings here before we say goodbye?
I mean, I'm shocked that Johnny Munt is no longer a Viking.
Sad day.
Kevin O'Connell's man crush on Johnny is through the roof. But Jacksonville made a nice offer. There's a couple Vikings former assistant coaches now on that new Jag staff. And hey, I mean, there was some level of interest, but the Vikings didn't make any sort of push. I'm not sure they thought he would be a day one free agent signing, but Johnny Munt gone. So the possibility of adding some sort of third tight end, I would say that's in play. Now, the Vikings have interest in extending Josh Oliver, but that is not at the forefront of anything right now. Josh Metellus, another guy they want here for the foreseeable future. So there are some extension candidates. You mentioned Ed Ingram, restructuring Brian O'Neill's contract. I mean, there are ways to create some cap space. Looking to trade Garrett Bradbury. If you can't find a trade, right? I mean, heck, I'm sure the Jets would have loved to have traded Devontae Adams, right? We can go up and down the list. You would have loved if you're the Commanders, to have traded Jonathan Allen, right? It's hard. And so if there's not a trade partner, at this point, it looks like Bradbury will be gone. I'm not sure I saw that coming a month ago or even 3 weeks ago, but hey, the fluidity of free agency, it moves fast. And I'm just saying, you can't debate Ryan Kelly upgrade over Garrett Bradbury.
Yeah, Duke's great session here today. A great 24 hours for the Vikings.
You want some non-Viking stuff?
Sure.
So we knew a few months ago, XL Energy Center, there will be a name change. We'll get some news here pretty soon. So X marks the spot right now, corner of what? Kellogg Boulevard, West 7th Street, downtown St. Paul. Well, soon enough, it'll no longer be XL Energy Center. So if you're at all fascinated by that, be on the
Sports
lookout.
Center.
In the
Score North Arena.
in the coming days.
I might be buying the name.
That would be
The Sports Dad Center. I like that.
I would absolutely
Actually,
love
it might be the Fries Arena after the Will Fries
Yep.
contract. I think that guy can afford it.
Fries and Kelly Arena.
That's right.
That would be fantastic. Hopkins Wayzata boys basketball tonight. The rematch.
Be
So
safe.
Wayzata pushed. Yeah, I know.
Be careful.
Insert your joke about
Bring the
you know,
cops.
big gear or something like that. Yeah, there will be extra security. And there's an agreement for Wayzata to use a different locker room. And so they don't have to cross the path of the student section. But Wayzata pushed. Now, my understanding is there was a vote, a regional vote. It didn't come close to passing. But in Wayzata's ideal world, tonight's game would not be at Hopkins High School. Clearly, Hopkins wanted the game at Hopkins High School. They were not interested in changing venues. The game will be at Hopkins High School. My understanding is the vote didn't come close to passing, but Wayzata pushed for a venue change, but that failed. So section championship tonight, to me, two of the three best teams in Class 4A. It's unfortunate that they're in the same section. It'd be great if they were meeting in a couple weeks for a state championship or in a state semifinal, but they happen to be in the same section. So to me, the top teams in 4A, Cretin-Durham Hall, Hopkins, and Wayzata. So fun night of high school boys basketball, girls basketball. State ramps up tomorrow. So fun week of high school basketball boys and girls. The Twins did wrap up all those pre-arbitration deals, guys like Louis Varland. Those have been done for a bit. They actually gave some guys a bit of a raise over the minimum. Like, we're not talking, hundreds of thousands of dollars, but oftentimes in years past, the Twins would just give a guy pre-arbitration the minimum.
Wow.
They give a few of these guys just a little bit above. And hey, Declan, good stuff on Pablo Lopez. I texted with somebody with the Twins. There is zero concern. I get it. He has allowed, 9 runs in less than 9 innings of work. He's throwing more fastballs. The velocity is up. His spin rate is solid. Like, the Twins are not worried one bit about their opening day starter, Pablo Lopez. So if you're just looking at box scores, if you're concerned about Pablo's struggles, don't be. Now, hey, we could have a different conversation in 5 or 6 weeks if he gets off to a bad start. But right now, the Twins are not concerned about Pablo Lopez. How about those Wolves? Julius Randle has a 10-game winning streak. So the Wolves have a 5-game winning streak. I looked this morning. The Suns had a really good offensive performance last night against Memphis. Kevin Durant, though, missed a 3 at the buzzer for the win. But because Memphis's defense failed miserably last night, they are now no longer in the top 10 for defensive rating. So there are only 2 teams in the Western Conference, top 10 this second, offensive rating and defensive rating. Oklahoma City and the Wolves. Wolves win tomorrow in Denver. I think we could be talking about a really, really long winning streak.
Yeah.
That will
Amen.
be fun tomorrow night. That will be a ton of fun tomorrow night.
Yep. No, this is the Wolves took a minute, but here they are. All right, Dukes.
All right,
Great
boys.
stuff. And we'll do it again on Thursday. Darren Doogie Wolfson from
And they
the
were never in on
5.
Patrick Jones, by the way. I'm just looking at some notes I jotted down. They were never in. They knew they were going to lose him. Good job by Torrey Dandy with Creative Arts Agency, getting him a nice deal with Carolina. But the Vikings knew all along Patrick Jones was not coming back.
Yep. So good luck in Carolina, Patrick Jones. It's time for Dallas Turner.
And same on Cam Bynum. The Vikings knew last week Cam Bynum was gone. So, okay, boys, we'll talk on Thursday.
All right, Dukes. There he is.
Okay,
Darren Doogie Wolfson, 5 Eyewitness News Sports Department, Minnesota Sports with Mackey and Judd.